Welcome back to another episode of Save State Plus. This time I'm joined by Ben Starr. Ben, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing really well, thanks.
Is it morning or evening where you are
It's
actually?
it's the middle of the day. I think it. I mean, it's not midday, but it feels like the middle of the afternoon. So yeah, let's go with that.
If you
This
don't,
is this is really going to age well. This is the kind of content people come here for, being like, "What time of day was it when we did this?"
absolutely. Well, people will probably be coming here because Clair Obscur Expedition 33 has really taken off. You play a character in this game,
I
uh,
do.
Verso.
Hmm.
A little bit of a tricky situation. We can't really talk about your character very much without spoiling a major plot point in the game. But
Yes.
how would you describe Verso?
In the quite extensive press cycle we've done up to the lead up to this game, he's a mysterious stranger who's tracking the expedition. That's the best way to describe him. And I really enjoy people discovering his contribution to this game. And I really like the purity of that. And it's been so amazing watching people experience the game on their own terms, at their own pace, and discover him and what his contribution might be to this game, on their own. As much as I'd love to talk about, Verso as a character, I think he's best experienced when you meet him and take him on the terms that you meet him in the game, which is really cool.
I agree. I agree. I have heard it's a bit of a faux pas to ask an actor about others he's done a piece of work with, but I can't really talk about your character. So what's Charlie Cox like? What's Andy Serkis and
This
Kirsty
cast,
Ryder?
yeah, this cast are amazing. I think that just a rising tide raises all ships, right? And I think the work of every single person in this game is amazing. And the fact that everyone talks about what is amazing at Expedition 33 is the fact that it was made by 30 people, that they
Yeah.
managed to get the cast that they did, and everyone is so committed to this game. There is so much heart and so much very specific direction that it kind of feels unfiltered, really. It feels like this is just raw passion, and everyone brought it. Like Jen and I were speaking about how every time we turn up to sessions, you'd hear someone else's work and you're thinking, God, I hope I'm not the rubbish one. I've really got to turn up and do good work, because you don't want to be the person that lets the team down. And the party is so wonderful in this game. All the characters. I mean, you get to work with Andy Serkis. It's like crazy having that guy in my ears. You know, it's really really neat. And Andy said on interviews that it's the story that's what drew him to this. It's the fact that we turned up day one and there was the most stunning lookbook art book you've ever seen. Every image was a painting, and you
Hmm.
couldn't really say no to it. A lot of people said in the lead up to it, is this too good to be true? And I've always known that it isn't too good to be true, but I did have that feeling when I first saw it. I thought, these people can't be making this game. The
Yeah.
ambition here is too great. I've seen what teams can do, and that's not what 30 people can do. That's not 30 people's worth of work. And then I had the opportunity to go to Montpellier and to the Manor, and it's just everyone having a nice time doing what they do best. It's been the wildest ride in the lead up to it, but I don't think any of us expected this kind of reception. I think a few of us kind of hoped.
A million sold in 3 days, right?
Million sold, 120,000 concurrents over the weekend.
Hmm.
I keep texting the team thinking, how you doing? And everyone just cannot believe it. I think they kind of need a sit down, really. Unexpected, but a beautiful, beautiful reception from people that are really responding to the work. And the work is of people who deeply, deeply care about the people they're making it for.
Yeah, I got to play a preview, and I was like, this. I think anybody who was in the preview or accessing it early on, we all kind of took notice right away. I said this might be a game of the year contender, just based off of that small slice, because the caliber of acting that you and your colleagues did was just absolutely phenomenal. And I'm excited for people to introduce your character, or
Yeah,
meet your character in the game.
yeah,
Can you tell me a little bit more about the technology utilized? Because I've seen
yeah,
people in sort of like a, not your ping pong ball suit type thing, but
yeah.
maybe you could tell me a bit more about that process.
So there was when we turned up, the mocap work had been done. So the mocap work had been done by an amazing French team, and so they were doing it with the suits and with the phones and Unreal, and it we just kind of came in and stole a little bit of their glory, really. No, but they we came in and just worked with what they worked with, listening to Maxence, who did the astonishing voice of Esquier, but also is the physical body of Verso and Gustave. You know, I'm taking a lot of notes from what his performance was and having to kind of, fit it to what I wanted to do. But he did so much amazing work. I've listened to his voice so much, and he gives an amazing performance as both of those characters. So we would just take what they did, and then we would put our own spin on it. And the team, we'd always have Guillaume and Jen the writer, Guillaume the creative director, in the room with us. And they really wanted us to take what the team in France had done and make it our own. And so we were given a lot of leeway within that, but always, it's the, I think, brilliant work that the team in France did. And that's really what this whole experience has been, is everyone chipping in. Really, everyone kind of doing their little bit. I don't think any person should take a huge amount of credit for all of it, because it's Nicholas who did the art. It's Jen who did the writing, Guillaume who created the whole goddamn thing. Like, every single person has found what they do best and done it to the best of their abilities, and it's everyone excelling without overwhelming oversight. I think it's like, you want to go and do that, you want to be good at that thing that you do, go and do it, and do it to the best of your abilities. And I think that's why people are responding to all of it. I mean, there's 8 hours of music. Lorian just kind of went, there you go. The cool story about this game that I think not that many people have reported on is that Guillaume found Jen on Reddit. Like, that many of the team were found in weird ways. Guillaume just heard Lorian's music on SoundCloud and went, I'll go with that guy.
Oh, wow.
It's not like there was this extensive, we need to get a crack team together through all of these interview processes. It was Guillaume going, you're talented, do you want to come on board? Or you like games like I do you want to join? And everyone just banding together and saying, we love these games, we love this type of video game, and we want to make the game that we want to play. And that's why I think people are responding. We didn't expect it to be like this. We were hoping that like someone would love it. I also think maybe that's why I got the job, to be honest, because we just nerded out about Final Fantasy VIII for a long period of time before doing any actual acting. And yeah, it's just, do you like these things? Come and join this kind of merry band. And we feel like a couple of misfits, really, who had just accidentally stumbled onto something that people have really enjoyed.
Yeah, and it is really special, and just seeing everyone's reaction to it, sort of similar to my reaction when I played it for the first time, and it's really heartwarming to see, for lack of a better term. I do have an asset here that I think PR had approved for playback. I'm just gonna, yeah, let's just see. Here's a scene.
I can't believe you're showing this.
How can you be so blind?
That's enough.
Or do you just look the other way on purpose?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do. Lisa, Daisy. And what about the new girl? The way he looks at her. There's more going on in his head than spiritual enlightenment.
Very, very powerful moment.
Isn't that really good? Gosh.
Yeah. What was going through Verso's head in that scene?
Do you know what's really good is that is proof that you can be a bad actor and still you can still achieve. That was the first job I ever did. I graduated from drama school, and that was the first. I did that. I graduated, and then like 2 weeks later, I was filming that. That is a TV show called Father Brown in the UK. Gosh, I look young and silly. That was the summer of 2012. I filmed that.
Wow.
You know, everyone has hope. You can deliver that kind of performance and still and still go on to be in RPGs. That was fun. That was a fun thing. I, for some reason, gave the character a limp. I don't know why I decided to give him a limp, but I did. I look so young. Father Brown. I still get residuals from that.
Really?
I didn't get a buyout, yeah, because it
Well,
was only going to be a daytime TV show. They didn't realize they were going to sell it across the world, so I never got a buyout. So I just keep getting little cash injections for the first like 5 years of my career. I would still get bits of money, from that show, and it would keep me afloat. And I think it is, you know, actors, they don't really make much money to
yeah.
begin with, and it was this amazing thing that this little show, every now and again I feel like I'm down on my luck and I need a bit of money, and a little check would come. It was still a time when checks would come through the post, and check would come through the post, and I think, oh my god, I can eat this week.
Yeah.
um yeah. So yeah, Father Brown, you don't need to see my episode.
Yeah. It's what was it, season 1, episode, I can't remember off the top of my head, but
Yeah, I think it's called
yeah.
the Temple of Apollo or something.
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds, you
Yeah.
really remember it. What was it like for your first time, like being on set, all that craft services that's there
I mean,
as a struggling actor?
there was no craft services. This was
Oh
very much,
no.
this was budget BBC, daytime TV. What was that like? You get better at it. I never learned how to do TV until a little bit later, and I think there's lots of kind of tricks and tips that you can learn to kind of make the process easier for you. I was trained in theatre, so it's about figuring out what your tool set is and how you can get better at it. Um, I look back at that, and I kind of cringe massively at my performance, thinking I wouldn't do that now. But you've also got to start somewhere. And so thank you for revealing my daytime TV debut on this podcast.
How would you have changed this? What would you have done differently?
None of what I did on there.
Oh, okay.
None of that. Also, why did I do that with my hand? Why is that there?
That's the part that cracked me up, because I'm like, why did they use that shot of all the shots?
Why? I think because there probably wasn't enough time to figure out the physicality, and they just went, what would you do in that scenario? And for some reason, I'd chosen a painting in that hand, and then it's awful. What a bad decision from me. The direction's great. Like, actually, Matt Carter, who directed that, I really have a lot of respect for Matt, and he's a brilliant director. But my word, I can't believe he let me get away with that. It's a weird thing. But yes, you learn a lot, and clearly I've learned a lot since then.
You've you've done television, you are in some movies, and you really sort of broke through in the gaming sphere. Do you have like a preference of style of media, or is it just kind of, oh, that's an exciting project, I'd love to work on that?
I think I am a relatively creative person. I was always a creative kid. I used to do like little stop motion videos on my Nokia 3210 or whatever back in the day. I don't think there was a camera on 3210, but like a camera on my old like Nokia phone. And I would always, write little plays and little sketches and things as a kid. But the way that my creativity kind of manifested itself was acting. And whichever medium gives me the opportunity to be the most creative, I enjoy. And video games is a space that I so passionately love. I've been playing games since I was a kid. I consume all the media. I listen to all the podcasts. It's a world that isn't just that is my hobby, that I happen to have just kind of stepped into. So in 2023, when I kind of really emerged onto the scene, the reason that I was very loud about it is because I was so excited to be able to exist in a space that makes me really deeply happy. And I continue to do more and more silly things in this space because I love being here, because there's so much untrod snow for performers here to work with video games, not in like working with a game to figure out a way that we can, as I said at the Golden Joysticks, elongate their relevance in the zeitgeist is really cool. People want to funnel their joy through people, and sometimes that can be the developer, sometimes that can be the creative director if they want to be front facing, sometimes that can be the narrative designer or whatever they choose to put their love into. But also, if they want to appreciate the contribution that actors do, they can do that. And I want to be a vector of joy for those people.
Was there some, when you were getting into the video game space, was there somebody in particular that you looked up to and you were like, oh wow, you really can have full range of your acting abilities in this medium?
I mean, there are countless performances that are incredibly moving to me. The one that I really credit with, it didn't it didn't change my perspective on acting in video games because I'd been very fortunate to, you know, see, be witness Metal Gear Solid and Mass Effect and
Yeah.
and all of those amazing things. But Tommy L. Jenkins's performance at the end of Death Stranding, I think, is one of the most amazing mo-capped performances I've ever seen. Die Hardman does not have any right to give that moving a performance when he breaks down, and I really want to credit that. He's really, really amazing. But we're in 2025, we are so fortunate to be in an age where performances, outstanding performances in video games are varied and many, because the technology has really moved on. I remember playing Final Fantasy X for the first time and thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get to hear these voices. And that really felt like this amazing moment where I was experiencing a Final Fantasy game, except I was experiencing it, you know. And I think since then, we just, wow, what can we say? Anything Naughty Dog does is always top tier. It would be silly for me not to mention the entire cast of everything that they've ever done, as something that is really groundbreaking. But you know, I think other games are also doing that, and I can't wait to kind of see where we go in that medium. And I also can't wait to be a part of it. Really, I really want to do more stuff, and I want to find interesting ways of engaging with audiences and also doing really interesting projects that you really can't do elsewhere. Where else do you get to do the equivalent of about 6 series of a television show for you? You know, that's interactive and people get to engage with you. It's pretty neat.
Speaking of being able to have the opportunity to do both sorts of work, The Last of Us, the TV show, is in the 2nd season.
Yes.
It's on HBO right now. Is there a video game property that you would like to see the industry take a peek at and potentially consider adapting?
What a funny question. What an interesting question. So I'm going to preface my answer with, I don't think video games need to have a TV or film adaptation in order to be valid as an art form. I don't. I love that The Last of Us is getting amazing reviews and is clearly expanding the story and expanding it to many people who should get the opportunity to experience it. But I get frustrated sometimes when people speak about video games that they need to find validation from film and TV. I don't think they do. I think they are enough. And the reason The Last of Us is as good as it is because of the performances of Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker. You know, it is that good. It is that they are astonishing performances and they don't need to be recreated. They are brilliantly recreated. But do I want to see any? I'd love to see more people experience stuff. I feel like Cyberpunk did brilliantly in expanding the world, you know, with Edge Runners. I think it was an amazing way of getting people back into that. But I think that enhanced the experience. It didn't replace it. And I don't know. I'd love to see. Let's bring some Legacy of Kain back, guys. Let's just
yes. Thank you. That is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, Nosgoth is a world that is incredibly rich, and I would love to see them do something with that property in some capacity. But I'd love to see it as a game. I'd love to play in that world. I think we have such an opportunity here to tell incredibly rich, deep stories that are good as games. I think video games are enough of a medium in order to be valid. I get it. We want more people to experience these stories. Fallout, what an amazing summer we had when people were diving back into Fallout 4 because people really liked Fallout. But I don't think the TV show makes the validity of the story of Fallout any greater. I think it is just an opportunity for people to revisit it. That's my answer.
Yeah, I think there have been more just personally negative adaptations as opposed to the positive references. But it is nice to see gaming get a lot of the respect that I think we all have recognized as gamers for so long, and then see people who really understand gaming do an adaptation like Fallout or Last of Us. I do appreciate that quite a bit.
I think Fallout, the brilliance of Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy is well known for anyone who's watched anything in Westworld. Like, they are geniuses. Lisa Joy in particular, I think, is just absolutely astonishing. So it wasn't really a surprise that when they adapted it as well as they did. But yeah, I find it difficult sometimes. I'm like, we should be looking inwards. We should be looking at this industry and thinking what this industry can do to reinforce itself. How can we better the industry from within as opposed to without? I think the film industry is looking for IP. But I think the film industry and the TV industry is looking for IP. When you are constantly streaming 24/7 and you're trying to justify the $20 to $30 price tag on your streaming service, you're going to look to content farm. It stops being TV and it starts being content, and we're running out of comic books. So we're going to go to video games. And I hope that these IPs are treated with respect, because it's only when IPs are treated with respect do we yield good results. Otherwise, it just becomes something quite soulless. And it's well known within the 90s, you know, a lot of people started farming video game IPs and they weren't as great as we would have hoped. That said, the original Super Mario Brothers is one of the weirdest things you'll ever watch. Go rewatch it. It's great. But it's also a bit bad. I feel like we need to treat these properties with the respect that they deserve and not just see them as content to fill people's eyeballs for the sake of filling people's eyeballs.
Yeah, you've always done a really good job with your characters. You've actually won some awards yourself. Here's a recent award that you just won.
Oh no.
So
see how I treat that IP with respect.
So I have to ask,
Yeah.
how did this come about? You're dressed as a clown, you're at the BAFTAs,
Yep.
and you're accepting an award. Tell me more. Like, how did that come to be?
Professional actor, professional idiot. I was offered the opportunity to do a commercial for Balatro Friends of Jimbo 3, where I dressed up as a clown and I did that for them. And that was really fun. So I was the human embodiment of Jimbo, which was fun and silly. And then I did like a silly outtakes video that I edited myself. They gave me like 20 gigs of outtakes. So I edited something together and put that online, and that did quite well. And then people started just taking pictures of me as the clown and using them as reaction memes. And my face was used as kind of some terrifying reaction memes. And I mentioned to the team at Playstack that were they to be nominated for any BAFTAs, I would like to go dressed up as Jimbo in a full tuxedo. And the team at Playstack, to their great credit, went, yes, that is a stupid idea. Let's do it. Local Funk is notoriously private. And I had been at many of these award shows, and God bless Wout and the team. They got up and accepted a lot of awards. And so we just thought, how can we make something a little bit different? How can we bring a little bit of kind of subversive joy that the game really promotes to an award show? And so I wrote a speech as if it were written by Local Funk, and with his permission, of course. He had to okay everything. And that happened. And a lot of people were then interviewing me afterwards saying, congratulations on winning that BAFTA. Obviously you played Jimbo in the game. And I'm like, no, I'm just a guy. What a silly thing. I think this industry has the opportunity to allow for moments like that. It's silly. Let's play with the audience. We're not the Oscars. We're not the film BAFTAs. It's the video game world. Let's be silly. We have an opportunity to interact with audiences and listen to feedback and engage in memes. I mean, I'm a walking meme. How many memes of me exist in the world? It's crazy. And I love it. I lean into it, because why not? You can be a very serious actor, but not be a very serious person. They're two very, very different things. And I look forward to being memed for the rest of my life. I'm sure there'll be another one in about 3 months' time that I don't intend to be. But yeah, I didn't expect it to take off quite like that. lots of people were sharing it with me, and people were very confused. A lot of my friends who I have checked out of my career over the past 10 years suddenly checked back in and went, "What's going on, Ben? Why are you dressed like a clown, and why are you holding a BAFTA?" And then I'm like, it's just a bit too hard to explain. But you know, I loved it. I loved it. I will keep
It was
being
very fun.
silly. I'll keep being silly.
When you were on stage, speaking of the memes, you have the infamous meme where at the I think it was the Game Awards, there's this
Yeah.
beam of light
Yeah.
directly on your face. Were you aware that you were on camera, or were
No.
you just kind of like, "Oh, this is great"?
How could I be aware there was so much light? That was during the performance of they did music from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. They
Yeah.
previewed some music from that, and I think they wanted a reaction of someone who was in Final Fantasy, so they came to me. But unfortunately, they were directly shining a light in my face, and I wanted to. I didn't really know what to do. I couldn't really see if there was a camera, so I just thought I'd keep my eyes open. I'm next to Jesse Cox, who's next to me, and I didn't know that was happening. I put my phone away for most of the ceremony because I'd never been to the Game Awards before, and I've watched them every single year. So I thought, well, I'm just going to really be present for this, because what a cool thing! I'm going to get some, see some amazing acts. I'm going to get to see some really cool game previews. I can't wait. And so I put my phone away to try and really be present. And it wasn't until I was tapped on the shoulder by the creative director of God of War Ragnarok Valhalla, who said, "Excuse me, I think you're a meme now." Did I then get my phone out and just see what had happened? And it was a very silly thing. But again, you lean into it. Why not? I don't mind. It's a silly image. It's that you almost like dissociate, I think, a little bit. And you're like, yeah, what a silly image of me. I don't mind. What else can I do? I've been a clown since I was a kid. I'd always be the class clown. So I'll be the industry clown as well.
How do you handle that differentiation with your characters? You played serious characters. You played, I believe it was a drug dealer in or a drug user at least in a television show.
Yeah.
You played serious characters, like I think
Yeah.
First Berserker Kazan. That's probably considered a little bit more serious than some of the other roles that we mentioned, and even
Yeah.
Verso and Clair Obscur. Verso's definitely one of
Serious.
your more serious roles.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for that? How do you go into a shoot and differentiate your tone, or do you not take it that seriously? Am I digging too much into it?
No, you're not. It's a really good question, because actually it's probably quite foolish of me, really, to be this kind of outward idiot and then ask people to believe in me. But I also think, kind of, who cares? I see film stars do it all the time. I see Ryan Gosling do it all the time. I think it's fine as long as you to use a soccer reference, play the team in front of you. As long as you're honest and real in the moment, I don't think it matters. If people can relate to the humanity that you're trying to bring to something, then fine. I'm not Ben in that moment. I'm that, whatever that character is, and as long as it's real enough, then people are going to believe it. I'm very lucky that I can get away with what I get away with, because Clive is incredibly serious as a character. Kazan, Verso, they are the broody boys, and I let the work speak for itself. I'm proud of the work, but I let people enjoy that work, and then everything outside of it is very much like hang out with Ben the Fool, but please also, enjoy the work that I do in game. But I don't really need to emphasize that, because I'm broody. I'm not a broody person, but I can create what is hopefully an accurate facsimile of that. And also, I say broody, it's just real, really. It's like, can we be, people keep coming up to me saying, "You made me cry." I'm like, great, cool. If I made you cry in the game, I hope I can make you laugh in person. And that's kind of the trade-off, really.
What do people more commonly come up and recognize you for, or when they see you walking around? Do you ever get recognized on the street and asked
Yeah.
about a particular thing?
Clive in Final Fantasy 16, or but I mean, in 2025, communities are quite siloed, really. If you're I appear everywhere, really. People say, like, "Oh, Ben, you're everywhere." So if you've seen me on, some people might have seen me on a podcast that I've been a part of. Some people might see me on a particular appearance that I did, a game, whatever you've seen me on. it'll be that. Some people have never played Final Fantasy 16, but that's the game, right? 16 is the game that changed everything. It's the one that gave me permission to enter this industry and be the person that I am, and it gave me the opportunity to be a part of Expedition 33, of Kazan. All these things that are born out of the opportunity that I was given with Final Fantasy. And I imagine for the rest of my career, for many people, I will always be Clive Rossfield. And that's cool. That is cool. But I look forward to being other things for other people. And there are many people who haven't played 16, who just know me from the Mario video. Like loads of people watch that. So I did this, for those who don't know, I did a fake audition for Mario in 2023. And that went relatively viral. That was kind of the first moment where a lot of people outside of the Final Fantasy community recognized who I was. It was a very silly thing, but I will continue to do more and more things, because just because you are well known within one particular particular section of the industry doesn't mean you're well known.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's also elaborate combat sequences that you often have to do for video games, and like sort of these silly grunts and groans and everything. Let's take a look really quick at one.
You surrender or die. It's over. You're right. I am defeated.
That head bob at the end.
That's my last clip. I promise.
That is, I love that you've pulled me. You've gone, let's go into the BBC archives and see Ben in the Musketeers. Let's see Ben in the first 2 years of his career.
Musketeers was great, actually. So like I'm watching the show for the gag, and I'm like, that's actually a really interesting plot and everything. I just picked the fight scene because I thought it was special.
I was a silent character for a large portion of that episode, and then I had a big fight sequence. It was fun. I filmed that in Prague. It was really cool, and it was one of kind of the first jobs that I got to do that felt really special. That you go into this industry and you think, oh, I want to do cool stuff, and then you get this part, and suddenly they're like, we're going to fly you to Prague. And that just seemed really neat. Like, wow, I'm going to get to fly to a place, and they're going to pay for my plane. I don't even have to pay for it myself. And they're going to put me in a hotel that they're going to pay for, which just seems so alien to a young actor, I feel really fortunate to do that. But actually, that show led me on to a show that I would do called Dickensian, which was the first show that meant that I could... the first kind of real acting that I got to do, which was this amazing show for the BBC. And then I got to move on from there to a show called Jamestown, because it was the same casting director. And so that small part in The Musketeers meant that I was able to audition for Dickensian and get that part, and then go on to do Jamestown and, meet my fiance. So it's one of those kind of crazy things. That's if you allow yourself to be open to it, and even if you take small parts and stuff, they can lead on to other things.
What was it like on Dickensian? Because in the first 3 episodes, you're kind of playing this I think you're a fiance or a love interest, and then were you continuing in that show, because your IMDb just kind of stops after episode 3? I'm like, well, wait, what happened to him after episode 3?
I think I'm in there's 20 episodes of that show.
Oh, okay. So that was like a reoccurring gig. Was that about the time you were like, oh yeah, I could be an actor for a living?
I stopped needing to do a second job when I got that. That was it. That Dickensian was also the now very successful actor Joseph Quinn's first ever job. So the Human Torch himself.
Wow.
Joe had just graduated. It was a crazy show. There were amazing actors on that. It was the first job where they said, we're going to pay you an amount of money that feels like a yearly wage for 4 months' work. And that was crazy, that I didn't have to work by the hour for the first time. And then I had a little bit of a break, and I didn't go back to doing my day job at the time. And then I managed to get another gig that paid me even more money and gave me an option for multiple seasons. And then I it felt like this industry was viable for me, and that was really life changing. It really was, and actually that that job is the job that set off the dominoes that led to me now doing this, which I like a lot. And people ask me if I want to go back to film and TV. Yeah, maybe, maybe. If the opportunity is there, but I so deeply love being here. I don't know if I have the time to go back.
So much work stacked up.
I think it's not so much. It's not me going, God, look how booked and blessed I am. It's more
Yeah.
to do with just the opportunities aren't. It's not just acting. It's not just performing. It's just being in this space, and it's traveling, and it's I'm hosting this the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering reveal event essentially at PAX, and I get to travel with that, and I have my D&D group that I do, and
Yeah.
Natural Six, and I do so many things that are adjacent to this industry that are so like creatively rewarding that I don't think have the time to go away to South Africa for 6 months and film an albeit brilliant HBO show or something. I kind of have to stick it out here for a little bit longer.
I was actually using the fight scene to set up a question about how you handle when the director is basically asking you, okay, now we need an hour of you grunting and groaning because
Yeah.
in the fight scenes you make like these noises like
Yes.
hey yeah or whatever noise you particularly
Yeah.
make. What is that like? Did they just have you wing it, or do they have specific, like, is it written out as and like do they write it out in a
No,
script?
it'll be a spreadsheet. So I was very
Mm.
lucky to come back and do a good example would be Tekken. So Clive
Yeah.
came back in Tekken, and so I'm very fortunate now to have kind of cheated my way into a fighting game. So I'm technically in Tekken, and so what you will have is an Excel spreadsheet, or which will say we need 5 medium grunts. It'll usually be small, medium, heavy of everything, and then I swear on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
We call it the fuck it bucket. So you basically just shove them in the fuck it bucket. Like I'll give you 20, and then the person in post can then just pick out the ones that work. And it's useful to see what the character is actually doing, because really a lot of our job is looking at a character and recreating real life. And so sometimes there can be that disconnect. If you're not seeing what the character's doing, how that physically changes how their body moves, then a lot of it can seem very fake. So I like to see how a character moves into a space in order to kind of recreate that. How are they getting hit? Where's the actual punch coming from to make it seem really real? Final Fantasy 16, there's so many noises I made. And we did them over a long period of time, because you want to have a varied assortment, because you're playing with Clive for 40 to 60 hours. Also, we did this whole thing. I mean, it's very specific to me, but there are these icon powers in Final Fantasy 16, and I made it so that depending on how Clive felt about the dominance that he took the icon from would affect how he would react when he uses certain icons. So we kind of played with that a little bit, just to kind of keep ourselves entertained, if anything, and make it feel more honest to us. So there are degrees of care over
Yeah,
that.
of course. Is there a line about a hot dog or something in that one? I
In
saw the
Tekken there
meme
is,
video.
yeah. There isn't, but I added it. What was it? I think it was, I was watching Maximilian Dude's stream of
Yes.
Tekken,
Yeah.
and
Good
he
guy. Good guy. I've known him for a long time.
like super kind, very talented at what he does, and just a very decent human being. And I was watching his stream, and he made a joke about saying it in my voice, which is, I think it's like, Jin, what the hell is a hot dog? And so I then I messaged him and I said, what's your email? And then I just emailed him a stupid voice note of me saying it in character. And he put it on one of his streams, which was great. It's just, why not? Why not be silly and playful and give this community, the video game community, which again, there are many subsections of, really respond to being playful and understanding that actually they are a very attentive group of people who deserve to be listened to. And sometimes it's just nice to listen to them. Sometimes I just put your ear out and go, what do you want to do? Do you want that? Yeah, let's play. I'm not going to, I'm not a dancing monkey, but I will be an idiot sometimes. And it's quite fun just to dip your toe in.
Yeah, I think that honestly that's a big reason I started following you, is because it's clear like you're a serious actor, but you're not afraid to have a little bit of fun, poke a little fun at yourself even, and that's fun to follow and see like, okay, he gets it. He gets the game that's being played here,
Yeah,
and
and
that's
it is a game. It is a
mhm.
game. And, like, I think we inherently want to have fun. That's why we play these games. We want to be immersed, and also we like interactive things. It's why we play video games. So why can't I have an interactive relationship with the audience who are interested in listening to me? It's very, I mean, I was raised on British pantomime, which is all about audience participation and audience feedback. So a lot of the way that I interact with audiences is very much inspired by that,
Mhm.
which is, what do you want? What's working? What isn't working? So that's kind of what really inspired a lot of the way that I conduct myself in public.
You went to like, I want to say, three different prestigious acting schools. I think you started in high school, and then you went on to some big castle, some big fancy place in
Thank you for
London.
saying that. So I went to Durham University to study history. That's what I did there. And
Mhm.
I was at University College, which was called Castle. And at university, I did so much acting. I was doing constant plays. I was like the president of Castle Theatre Company. We toured America with Shakespeare plays, and I always wanted to be an actor. And then I went to the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, which is LAMDA. Benedict Cumberbatch is the president there. It's a very prestigious London drama school, alongside the likes of Guildhall and RADA. It's a cool place to go, and has a lot of really prestigious alumni. And you learn a lot, and I learned a lot there. But it doesn't prepare you for this industry, because there isn't. What's the pipeline to video games? There
Mhm.
isn't one. You just kind of figure it out as you go. And I think most people just wing it. You think you know what you're doing. You really don't. Hey, you just saw my performance in Father Brown. Did that look like a man who knew what he was doing?
It was fine, honestly. Like, I
Thank you so
didn't.
much.
Yeah,
Fine. That's exactly
yeah,
what I was going for.
fine out of 10. What is your favorite part about acting? Like, you've done it basically your whole life almost. What is it about it that really keeps you invested in improving it, and what do you enjoy the most?
Um, I honestly don't know. I couldn't tell you. I think I appreciate. I do miss acting on stage. I really do miss that. I miss the electricity between an audience, that live feeling. I always thought that's what I would do. I thought I'd go to the National Theatre. I thought I'd go to the RSC, which is the Royal Shakespeare Company. Those were my kind of like hopes and dreams as a kid, and as a kid, and then as an actor, I just assumed that's what I would do. And I think maybe that's why, when I'm in this industry, I look so towards an audience. I look for that instant reaction. I look to get my face out there, because I think I miss that immediate electricity with a watching audience. But I don't know. I think acting's really good when it surprises you. I think some of
Mhm.
the proudest I've ever been is when I look at a performance that I've done and I go, that doesn't seem like me. That seems like someone else. I kind of hate most of the stuff I do. I'm like, you're lying, you're rubbish. But every now and again, you get caught by surprise. And if I don't hate it, then I like that, because I'm able to separate myself from the performance and go, I believe that that character was existing outside of myself. But I think it's fun when you kind of lose yourself in it a little bit, when you push yourself to uncomfortable scenarios and actually you end up discovering something about yourself that you wouldn't have otherwise discovered, because otherwise it's too scary to go there. And it's really uncomfortable. Acting is an uncomfortable thing. It really, really is. And certainly going to places that really affect people
Yeah.
isn't nice. It isn't a nice thing. Many of the scenes that people have appreciated from the work that I've done are not pleasant places to exist in, because they are asking uncomfortable questions. And it's being able to go there, not without fear, but an understanding that the fear will subside. that sounds really wanky when I say it, but it is kind of true. So yeah, when I do things, some things I can do really easily, and they're quite boring, and I don't, and I'm kind of bored of doing those things. So I just want to do things that excite me a little bit more and demand more difficult answers.
Is there a line or something that always sticks out in your memory? Is I really remember doing this scene, and like I can still recite the script because you've done so much work. For
Yeah,
me, I have to imagine it's sort of like you do your job and then your job's done, and then kind of that goes away to make room for the next script that you have to
yeah.
memorize or take on the persona of.
But in video games, you, and actually in film and TV as well, you live with moments many different times over. With Final Fantasy, there was a scene that I did with where Clive confronts his mother for the first time in years, and it's a scene that people really responded to and really enjoyed. And I didn't expect it to take off the way that it did, but it did, and it kind of almost came alive again as a result, because so many people were clipping it and saying, "I really like this moment. This is a really kind of human moment for Clive, and I relate to this moment. I've also had an abusive relationship with a parent, and this is how I reacted." But that existed in the moment, and then it died, and then it came alive again. And the one line, there were two lines in 16 that I get to, that the people ask me to say the most, which is "Come to me, Ifrit," and "The only fantasy here is yours, and we shall be its final witness." The final one being obviously the name of the game is in there. So people just thought that was a bit goofy, and people like the goofiness of it. But I'm excited for Expedition 33 and other games that I do to see what lines resonate with audiences, because I don't really have a say in it. Whatever cool lines I think I've said are not necessarily cool to the audience, and the audience will decide what is good. They will decide what is the most affecting moment, because within context, they're experiencing it in a pure way. And that's why I can't really talk about Verso that much, because I want people to have an honest experience with him, and they will decide what their favorite line is or their favorite moment is in that context.
Yeah. When you're recording, do you ever think to yourself, this one's going to stick with people, or this one impacted me, and then either it does, or you were just totally off the mark?
Yeah. Yeah. There are some lines where you think, "Oh, I've nailed that. That's going to be a biggie." Nope, no one cares. But but also you can't, if you're trying to elicit a reaction from someone, it's very unlikely that you're going to get that, because it just doesn't seem genuine. So you just can't really predict it. You've just got to accept it and go, "Yeah, this is what it is." You just got to you've got to death of the author, baby. You just got to do it, and then it's someone else's now. Interpret it how you want. I mean, also, vacant space in performance or storytelling is the most powerful thing you can allow for an audience. Allow them to exist in the vacant space, to go on the Reddit forums, to write the fan fiction, to speculate. As long as this vacant space doesn't seem cynical, I think it's a really beautiful place to exist, and it allows audiences to engage with your material long after you part with it. It then becomes theirs. So yeah, go there, allow that in your storytelling. If you're explicit about everything, I think it can sometimes ruin the adventure a little bit.
I think it is fun to ask sometimes, and I ask this out of curiosity. It's not to bring up a sore spot or anything like that. But was there ever a part that you really wanted and didn't get picked for? And then what was the outcome of that other actor getting it? Or can you tell me about that experience?
I've never said this before. I auditioned for V in Cyberpunk 2077, and I
Oh,
really wanted it because I knew that it was Cyberpunk. And I was like, "I really want this," but it was terrible. My audition was terrible. It was so bad. But had I auditioned for V and got V, had I got the part of V, I wouldn't be Clive. So I wouldn't have been available to do that. So the outcome was I'm here. By me not getting what I thought was going to be the biggest role of my career, I'm here. So like failure is not necessarily failure. It's an opportunity to something else. Yeah, I auditioned for Male V, and I really wanted it. I'm sure I'm breaking some sort of NDA somewhere, but I mean, so long afterwards. Yeah, that's what I wanted, and I was so clear that I thought, well, this is Cyberpunk. Oh my God, this would be huge for me. And I just happened to give a terrible audition, so it didn't work out. But the difference was that when I went in for Cyberpunk, I knew exactly what I was auditioning for. When I auditioned for Final Fantasy 16, I didn't.
Mm.
So it was a lot more genuine. I had nothing to lose, and I went in with nothing to lose. So I gave everything because I was like, whatever. And there was this relaxing thing, and I think there can be this pressure that you tense up because you're putting everything on this moment.
Hmm.
I'm living the next 10 years of my life thinking, well, if I'm in Cyberpunk, then this could happen, and this could happen, and this could happen. That pressure is insane. So that's why now my policy is play the team in front of you. What's directly in front of you? Do that. Do not think about 10 steps ahead, because that is going to seriously cripple you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You almost
So,
psych
yeah.
yourself out a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And also congratulations to the team on Cyberpunk. They've made an amazing video game, and I think the entire team are brilliant. So good for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I played for the first time on PC, and I really, really enjoyed the PC version of the game. And then, Phantom Liberty came along later. It ended up being a really, really great experience through and
Yeah.
through.
Also, I've been very fortunate to kind of get to know, adjacent to stuff, get to know the team at CD Projekt, and they're just really nice.
Mhm.
It's good when nice people make really good stuff. Actually, most people that I've met in this industry are absolute delights. And it's so gratifying to know that the people who make the work that you really adore are genuinely good people that do this for genuinely good reasons. And I feel very lucky to be part of an industry that is filled with good eggs.
Mhm. Um, yeah, it is nice. It is a good
Is your
industry.
next
And
question, who do you hate?
I was gonna jokingly
You
say
do,
that,
you do.
but yeah.
Who do you
Well,
hate?
who's
Who
the
do you hate?
worst though?
Who's the worst? I
Alana
don't know.
Pierce, clearly. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe I'm the worst. Maybe that's the problem, is I'm the dickhead in the room.
Yeah, I'm joking about Alana, by the way. She's great.
No,
What
no,
is
no,
your
no, no, no. You be honest. You don't like it. That's okay.
no?
I'll
You know a lot. I think you know her. That's why I made
Yeah,
that
we do a
joke.
podcast together. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I thought. What's your favorite game of all time? And that's actually the last question I really wanted to ask. But yeah, any game that you're like, this is like my game. This is my favorite one. You can't
Okay,
say
so
your own stuff. Can't say your
no,
own
I
stuff.
never would. It's well documented that I love Final Fantasy VIII because it's
Mhm.
the one that changed my perspective on video games. There's 11-year-old Ben experiencing the PlayStation 1 era of video games,
Mhm.
and he plays Final Fantasy VIII for the first time, having never had experienced a Final Fantasy game before. I imagine had it been 7, it would be 7. Had it been 9, it would be 9. But
Mhm.
this one is 8, and everything about that game is so. I feel like I'm symbiotically attached to that game. The identity of that game is so intertwined with my entire personality that it's more than a game. It is who I am because of that game. And I think that's the power of games. People ask me, why do I like it? For that reason. I had someone say to me the other day, I really don't like Final Fantasy VIII. That's okay. You don't have to. I'm not asking you to like it. I'm just explaining to you what it did for me. But games have done that in my life constantly. I'm going to give a shout out to some games that I want people to play. If you're loving Expedition 33 right now, go and play Chained Echoes.
Hmm.
That is a beautiful, beautiful RPG with a stunning 2D art style. It's really, really beautiful. Obviously, Octopath Traveler 2, love it. Like I know it's about if you're discovering turn-based combat for the first time, and understanding the intricacies of turn-based combat and how it can tell and it can create complex combat scenarios. There is a really rich well of games out there that are out recently that can exist. I understand that a lot of people are put off by certain art styles, but you're sticking with Expedition 33 because it's an amazing turn-based combat system. And believe me, there's some amazing turn-based combat systems. And one of them is Chained Echoes. It's brilliant. And it is so, once you learn the ropes, it's fascinating. It has an amazing story to tell that's just as heart-wrenching. And the same with Octopath Traveler 2. There are characters and stories and
Yeah.
worlds out there in the turn-based arena that are brilliant. And I just want to give a shout out to that. And I'm so lucky that I am in a video game right now that is celebrating a combat system that is alive and well. You know, it hasn't brought it back, but I'm glad that people are discovering it again through that.
It's really interesting when people are like, oh, they won't play a turn-based RPG. It seems like that's the vibe, at least from the industry. And then something comes along like this, or people say that RPGs aren't that popular right now. Then Baldur's Gate 3 comes along and it just like takes the world by storm. And it is refreshing to see this small team with Clair Obscur bring back a turn-based combat system and a really, really superb story that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy. And obviously it's getting all the awards and everything right now. And it just makes me so happy to see that, because I experience it. And every once in a while you're like, I think this is really special, but I don't know. And then to see the rest of the industry sort of reflect your feelings about it, it's nice.
It's kind of crazy, actually. I think everyone felt like that. I was getting little messages from people as they were playing along in the preview period, and people just saying, if it keeps this up, it could be good. It could be an all-timer. And I think I thought that was reserved for the select few people who had experienced it. I didn't realize that everyone was kind of going to get on board with it. And when the Metacritic score came out, I was like, wow, that's great. And I also want to say that Metacritic shouldn't matter. It should not matter, because if you love a game, you should love it in the way that you want to love it. But in this case, I think the way that people speak about it and the how high it scored was very important for a new team. It's like, this is new IP. People want new stuff.
Yeah.
Please champion new, because otherwise you are just going to run out of ideas, because there are so many ideas out there. There really are. You don't keep having to remake the same stuff again and again and again. You can figure out new ways of expressing yourself. And I know Expedition 33 is a reinvestigation of a turn-based fantasy RPG. It is that same thing, but it's trying to take those composite parts and make them something fresh and new. And I'm excited to see, you know, the new stuff that comes out this year, that isn't a sequel, that is a new game, because those are the things that really, really, really hit, and that people really respond to.
Clair Obscur Expedition 33. It's available right now. You can go play it. I highly recommend it. Everybody seems to love it. I believe First Berserker Kazan, which you're also a voice actor in, is out now, right?
It is also good game, also very good game. And if you love hardcore action RPGs that are not turn-based, go and play the First Berserker Kazan.
And any other projects I might have missed, or anything else you want to bring up?
I'm in a little game that's still in early access called Hades 2.
Oh, yeah.
I play a character called Prometheus in it. So if you want to play that, or just want to wait for 1.0 when eventually it comes out at some point in the future, feel free. And if anyone's at PAX, anyone wants to come and say hi to me at PAX, I'm there doing the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering reveal. So come and see some of your favorite cards and characters in card form as I show them to you for the first time.
Ben, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for making the time today.
Thank you for taking me a trip down memory lane and thinking, God, I was actually quite a bad actor.
It was great. It was great.
This interview is brought to you by people just like you. This first launch on Patreon and to YouTube members, so a big thanks to them for backing. If you would like to do so, you can go to patreon.com/SafeStatePlus or become a member here on YouTube.